could be maybe Last Samurai.
LS. Last Samurai. That would be so fucking amazing if it was.
Oh, man,
So you just done from the Arnolds?
Yeah, man, just finished.
And how is that? How you holding up?
I mean, well enough that I trained this morning.
Oh yeah.
I bench worlds coming up, so I have to get right after it as soon as I'm done. I mean, I don't have the greatest distances, man. It's like I only went 6 for 9. Somehow I PR'd in total Wilks and I guess squat and deadlift, but I only hit 1 bench.
Whoa! And your thing is bench.
Yeah. Like I hit my opener and then I honestly, guys, I weighed in so much lighter than I thought I was. That was going to, because I mean I trained right at 205, 206.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, I'll be good. Ate a little bit, went to bed, woke up. I was like right at like 200. And I was like, I've never lost that kind of weight overnight. And I ended up,
reason, like you didn't do anything to do it. You just lost it.
Yeah, and bro, I haven't that light, especially for the Arnold. The last time I was that light for the Arnold was a couple years ago when Layne and I were going head to head, and I was like I think a little 202 and a half, something like that. And man, I felt weak then, so I was like, I should be good. And you know, as soon as you take that first warm, like, whoa, this is definitely different.
Yeah.
I felt different, so I was like, we might have to change the game plan up a little bit. So we changed it up just a little bit, but the strength was there, but you just don't have the zip. I didn't have the zip.
Yeah.
And I did well. I mean, I'm not going to complain. I did, I PR'd, so I mean, that's as far as the performance I was expecting from myself. I mean, you know how it is. As a competitor, you want perfection.
Yeah.
9 for 9. The goal was definitely 9 for 9. But we went 3 for 3 in deadlifts, and that was huge for me. I haven't gone 3 for 3 in deadlift in a while.
Would you end up pulling?
I ended up pulling 6'9" or 694. I'll have to go back and look at the number. Something like that, like right around 7.
Coming in around that. Have you pulled 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
Finally, my hands held up. What the hell?
It is what it is. So, what was your highlight of the Arnold?
The highlight of the Arnold, man. I mean, I could say like every powerlifting fan in existence right now would. I mean, it would. Oh man, there's a lot of them, man. Honestly, Matt Gary's always he's just a huge highlight for me. The guy is just amazing. Seeing Matt Gary, being able to hang out with him and Sue after the beat was over, that was probably my biggest highlight. As far as lifting goes, definitely see and Ray. It's cool when you see your friends do well, you know.
Yeah.
And I know that I know they both definitely wanted to do well. I was mad at Kelly because that 970 that he squatted didn't look like a second attempt.
It flew.
And I was so angry, man. But then, you know what? At this point, you guys know, like I know, at this point in the game, at that level with those guys, it's better to be safe than sorry. I mean, because they both have Belarus coming up, and everyone wants to put their best foot forward. And it's weird when we're like, the sport's involved. Like, he just 970. He should have did 1,003, like you said. Like I was, it's weird.
Expectations are rising. That's for sure. Yeah.
Those big boys, we want to see them squat buildings at this point.
That's right,
and they definitely did not disappoint. I mean, so it was great in those guys, and just seeing I guess it would, that had to be a highlight, man. Just seeing the big guys and how that super heavy division, how that 120 plus division, how it's evolved to the point where it's not necessarily anyone's game, but it's getting closer and closer. It's not just one big guy sticking out. You have some guys that are steadily making their way up, and it's. I thoroughly enjoy watching those big guys go. I really, really like watching.
See, it's interesting you say that. So, a couple points there. I feel like, honestly, Ray's really pulling ahead I initially felt it was kind of any man's game going into Worlds, and like obviously Jez is a beast too, but it seems like Ray, where the shit is Ray gonna go? This guy could be, it looks like he could do 500 kilo squat at some point in his lifetime. Like, it's crazy.
I see that happening. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, barring any type of injury, man, I just hope, pray that, you know, the guy stays no limit for him. And he's setting a standard, and it's not necessarily a thing that, you know, like, you know, he can be beaten, like just like with anyone, you know, it's any man's game. And of course, you know, there's a kid that'll get cut from an NFL team, or a kid that, you know, he's walking around, you know, high school right now that'll end up, you know, being just as good as Ray is, you know. But right now, Ray is the man. He is the absolute man. But the thing that I'm seeing is, you know, these big guys, you know, they're fearless, and that barrier, that 1,000-pound barrier that seems so far away, now that it's not, it's right in everyone's lap. And when I say everyone, I mean those guys. Yeah. Now that it's not, you know, it's such a far-fetched thing. It's not as far as the moon. It's to open our eyes as fans, and of course them as lifters. Is, you know, I mean, that's one less barrier that they have to worry about. So when that fear factor is, you know, no longer there, I mean, the sky's the limit. Ray just happened to be the first man to get there to knock it out, and as soon as it happened, it's like the other guy's like, well, if he can do it, I can do it, and then it just started ripping and rolling, and so again, he can. The sky's the limit for him, but I love the fact that, you know, I mean, Ray's a man, he can squat, and that pull is getting better and better and better and better, you know. But then Kelly's like, well, you know what? I may not be able to beat you in the squat, you know, I may be able to get you in the pull, but my bench is bananas.
He's got bananas bench press.
Whoa! And the crazy thing is, Ray's squat's always been great. I mean, you know, it's arguably it's the best of my lifetime for sure. And that pull has evolved, but as his deadlift has evolved, Kelly's bench.
And not for nothing, in terms of Kim, like, she's not that she's old by any means, but I think she's born in '78. She's also approaching middle age. You know, she's not M1 yet, but I by the time she's in her early 40s, she's not slowing down. She's showing no slowing down whatsoever. So there's another lady, you know, approaching middle age. I mean, we're getting old quick, but who looks like she's just entering a prime now.
I'm loving it. You know, it's just, I don't know, man. It's hard to explain. I mean, and for those out there that only, you know, get to see these young women, you know, via social media, or maybe, you know, something they might see, you know, on you know, Reddit or you know, these, you know, quick snippets, man, it just does not do these ladies justice, because the seriousness and the absolute just respect that they have for their craft is unmatched. And again, there's a reason why they're the best. The reason why they're the best. And I mean, you'll see on the men's side, you'll see, you know, people they'll trade, you know, and in positions they'll trade over, you know, 3 or 4, you know, year period. These ladies have been at the top. They don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Another one I'm going to throw in there. Bonica Brown-Lowe. Bonica.
Yeah. Bonica's killing it too. She's got an amazing squat. I mean, the way she moves is nuts.
You know, I mean, and of course, I mean, I believe her, you know, not yet, but I believe her biggest challenger is going to, you know, I think you got to give Leanne Hewitt. You're going to have to give her a few years, but she's coming.
See,
that's if she doesn't end up making an Olympic team.
I was about to say,
as a heavy.
I was going to say,
what's going on?
She's top 5 in Olympic lifting, and Hewitt's like, people forget she's freaking what, 17?
Yeah, 16, 17, yeah.
Yeah, she's young, man, and the way she's moving, her and guys like Joseph Pina and the new crop coming up. These teenagers are crushing massive weights, man.
Insane amount of weight. So, you know, Pina, he's a Texas boy. He literally lives right down the way from where I live. You know, and he's right down the way. I mean, he probably is about 20 minutes. You know,
you train with him? You ever train with him?
Man, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna blow his
plates? Fair enough.
Like, man, no. I watch him.
Yeah.
I'll finish my workout, let him finish his warm up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's pretty much all I can do at this point. But yeah, that whole, in my section of the world right now, I mean, that I-35 north and southbound in Texas, man, I mean, you have, Joseph, he's there, Ian Bell.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I mean, it's just, it's all this just insane genetic potential is just flying in the air in Texas. I don't know what it is. It's just in the States. I don't know.
Well, Joseph come out of nowhere. I mean, he hit that sub junior. He walked in there, and like the first time anyone really saw him is when he put up that one in Raps at 9:30 right before Killeen.
Yeah.
And then he went into Killeen and hit that 800 in there.
People took notice.
Yeah.
People took notice of him because
People took
he
notice
broke
of
the
the
sub junior and junior. It did get the junior got taken back down
Yeah,
there.
but he took that junior record.
Yeah, he took two records.
Yeah.
17 years old, 800 pounds.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. He may have come out of nowhere with you guys, but
Yeah.
we've always known about the kid. I mean, in high school, he's been killing people in high school since he could pretty much put a. Yeah, so he's not necessarily a unicorn, but he's very, very rare. But he's just a scratch of the surface, man. These kids, man, we have a down here, man. Like
Here's the thing that you would touch up on, and it's true that a lot of these kids in high school, I mean, they're using powerlifting, and it gets them big, gets them strong, gets them athletic, and Joseph in particular as well. But like you said, they do it in high school, but if like football opportunities open up, you're going to go with a potential for a university degree and big money.
Yeah.
Right? So we can lose out in that respect.
There's, those country kids, man, those are the ones that, get a lot of ranch
Country
kids,
boys
a lot
strong.
Of, a lot of, oh my gosh, they just eat cornbread and just lift the cattle pretty much. So it's one of those.
Hey, man, you hear us?
Yeah, you guys, am I good to go over there on that?
You're good to go, man. Yeah, you're good to go.
Perfect,
Listen, so let's get a little bit on yourself. First and foremost, what
Talk
does
about me now?
what does LS stand for?
It literally stands for LS. I'm actually the third.
No
I'm
shit.
actually I'm named after my dad and my granddad.
Wowzers, okay, man. We were trying to figure that out. Randy thought last samurai.
Yeah, man. that's pretty much it, man. I've literally been called everything under the book, let me tell you something. I'll tell you a funny story. I used to tell the girls in high school it stood for Lone Star. I mean, obviously from Texas, from the state. I used to it stands for Lone Star, because that was my compensation starter. That's how I got them,
Whoa. Wow. Game recognized game. Okay.
No, man, I had to do it.
So how long have you been competing now?
I'm going into my 5th year of competitive lifting.
5th year, man. You came up quick then. Because you were up in the nationals. Like, how quickly were you snagging medals at the USAPL Raw Nats?
Yeah, my first nationals I won.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I won my first national, and I went to Worlds that year. I think I got 4th. Second year, I got 2nd to David Ricks. And I went to Worlds again, and I got 4th again. Third year, same thing. Got 2nd, and ended up going to Worlds, and I got 3rd. Last year, went to Worlds in bench Worlds, and got silver there. So. Yeah, man. So far, every year I've gone on a world team. Hopefully, keep it rolling.
So how is it? Because you didn't just start lifting weights 5 years ago.
Nah, I played ball. I played football and I ran track. And basically, part of the reason I love the big boys so much because my roommates were linemen. And my workout groups in college they were linemen. So I was always around the big boys. I was always the little ant guy that I could I was small, but I was just, abnormally strong. So the coaches would always, kick me out of the group with the linebackers and the running backs and make me go with the linemen and work out with those guys, which actually was beneficial because when it came down to conditioning, they moved at snail's pace. So I was like, this is good for me. So, but when it came time for the weight room, and I had to make my way across the way with the big dogs and work out with those guys. So, hey, when I see Kelly and Ray do what they do, it's like, it kind of feels like home being around those big boys. So yeah, it's
So you didn't start. How old were you when you started powerlifting then?
I was 31.
No shit. See, that's what I'm saying. Some people don't realize you could be in your 30s and start. It's never too late.
Oh man, I'm telling you. And the crazy thing is people don't understand is it's not necessarily when you start because there's guys right now that I run into that they're in their late 30s. mid 40s, late 30s to mid 40s, and they're getting stronger. I mean, it's just because some people choose different avenues in terms of just their life's walk. So by the time that they discover the wonderful sport that is powerlifting, they want to give it a go. But I mean, what society tells you is, I mean, by the time you pass 34, 35, like you're done. You know what I mean? It's on the decline. But I mean, these guys like these ladies that we had talked about before, they're starting to realize that it doesn't necessarily your age doesn't necessarily constitute the loss of strength. So if you take care of yourself, man, you stay on it, you're consistent and avoid injury, man, you can pretty much do anything. That's what I believe, at least.
Yeah. So early on, when how did you make the switch to powerlifting from football?
Well, I just was done with I played ball as much as I could, man, and I mean, made a couple practice squads, and I was done after that. I just, I wanted to actually pursue my education a little bit more. I wanted to get my doctorate, so I went, got my master's and everything, and I honestly just, went to the gym to stay in shape, and like with everyone else, I mean, I would see the bodybuilders and everything. I'm like, oh, maybe I may not, play the part, but I at least can look the part, so I wanted to at least look good. I wanted to, so, I started going and not necessarily training, but just kind of working out, and, getting a few bro lifts here and there. And, but, it pretty much what happened is my bro lifts were just a little bit heavier than, I guess, the average guy. So there was a couple of guys at the gym that I was working out at. They were like, hey, man, you should come and, get on our powerlifting team, of course. And I told, man, over the last, I don't know, it was over about 2-3 weeks, they kept asking, nah, I'm good, man. I appreciate it. But no thanks. And then one day, they literally caught me in the locker room, and I mean, all but pinning me against the wall. Like, hey, man, we're not asking, we're telling you.
What? Joining a gang or some shit, man?
Yeah, man. Like, I was like, so this is how it is. Like,
we're not asking you, we're telling you.
We're not asking, we're telling you. You know what I mean? I thought I was about to get my head, caved in by 45. I was like, all right, fine, dude, I do it.
Yeah.
And so. And it wasn't even, dude, I mean, I was so pissed because it wasn't one of those things where, like, okay, cool, I'll join, let's go do it. It was one of those, all right, awesome. Now, come back next week, come back Monday, we're going to start training you. Way smarter than the average bear. Boom, we're going to use this Jordan, prop that bad boy up like that. Let's get it.
All right. There we go. Let's get it. Okay, so what we're picking up, so you started into powerlifting.
Yeah.
Early 30s.
Yeah.
And then, real quick, you won the nationals in your very first national appearance.
Sir. Yeah, 2012 I won, and then it's been pretty much, I can't say smooth sailing ever since, but it's definitely just been almost fast tracked, man. I met my coaches. That was that's when we went 2000. That was Russia. We went to Russia for the first official IPF Classic Worlds, and then. That next year we went to South Africa, and that's when I met Matt Gary. I met Matt Gary in that's a lie. I actually met him in Russia, but because I just remember like who's this big bald man telling me about my attempt selection.
Yeah.
They changed everything, man. I mean, from how I warmed up to everything, because I was doing set to 10 for everything for warm up. So yeah, it was eye opening. Let me tell you, and from that point, man, it just, I think a lot of it's just like, when you're older, getting into it, you tend to try to sponge a little bit more because you don't want to mess up and or waste time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they took me under the wing and just started just teaching. And the more they talked, the more I listened, the better I seemed to get. And, from that point, it was just about focusing on technique and making sure that I had proper attempt selection. I mean, and it's been such a hell of a ride since then. Telling you, this is awesome. I fell in love with the sport because of the people, not necessarily because of the actual lifting.
Yeah.
So I figured, well, if I'm going to stick around, I better start lifting more weight.
Who got you into it?
Well, it's those boys in the locker room, right?
Yeah, the boys in the locker room got me into it. My cousin, he was an equip champion. Oh man, for a number of years after he graduated from the University of Texas. So, I mean, I had done a couple powerlifting meets in high school, but it was literally I filled in for a kid because I ran track. But I went filled in for a kid, won the meet, and qualified for state. Went to state, won state. I did that twice in high school, but that was all I knew of powerlifting. I didn't really know a lot about it, and I didn't necessarily like it. I didn't like weights, period.
No kidding.
So oh my God, hated weights.
What?
I hated lifting.
Whoa, no kidding.
I neglected to even mention that part. Oh my God. I think part of the reason they stuck me with alignment in the first place is because those big boys would actually make me lift. I hated it, dude. I hated it. I avoided the weight room like the plague.
Dude, that's crazy. That's like Andre Agassi hated tennis when he first started, eh?
I'm telling you, man. Like, hopefully I'll end up with his legacy, but I hated the weight room. Because I always feel like, oh man, this thing it's gonna kill my mobility. It's gonna make me slow. And part of it, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Part of it is because anytime I had ever lifted a weight, I would gain so much weight, and then I would have to end up trying to figure out how am I gonna lose this weight to run, because I wanted to be at around 185, no heavier than 187 when I was running, when I was running track.
Yeah.
So you work your way up to 215, 220, and then you have to turn around and figure out how to lose that. Well, the only way that I knew how to lose it, like, I guess I'm going to have to jog behind this golf cart when my coach yelled at me. And just lose this weight. So it was over and over and over. 4 years of doing that, you would hate the weight room too, man.
Yeah. Okay, that's true, man. Yeah. So you put on muscle mass easy then?
Yeah, I really do. I don't know if that's if I were a bodybuilder, it'd be an absolute blessing.
Yeah.
But man, powerlifting, it's hard. So when you're programming and you're talking to your coach about it, he has to figure out a way to to control the building of mass while trying to increase
strength,
the weight. Like that, the strength has to go up, but how can strength go up without the increase of muscle mass? I have no idea. So it's just like I have to be careful, man. A lot of it's just how, I guess, diet and just, I do a fair amount of cardio, but it's not necessarily for weight loss or anything. It's just for my heart, I don't want to die. I want a strong heart. But yeah.
Do you count your macros?
Every now and again I do. I tend to eat around the same thing over and over and over, so it doesn't necessarily deviate that much. Again, being around, people like my coach in Escrow and being around Layne and Katie Ann and Ryan Dorse, like
they'll weigh in that.
You almost. We went on a tour last year, and the common question I kept getting over and over: dude, do you track? Do you track what you eat?
Yeah.
Like, well, right now I'm not tracking because I don't really have anything coming up. You should track what you eat, so at least you have an idea of what you're eating, what your intake is.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, all right, you're right. Because I did one super massive cut, and I cramped up so badly that, I almost couldn't even finish deadlifts in South Africa. In 2014, and after that, I was like, I'm never going to do this again. So I at least started, kind of monitoring what the intake was. And then over the last year and a half, I've really just been, paying attention to it. Because to be honest with you, I didn't even know how to count. I just I'm just going to get this MyFitnessPal. It's going to tell me what to do. But for some reason, it doesn't necessarily tell you what to do. You kind of have to, there's a bit of execution that lies within. So I'm kind of figuring it out. It's definitely not as easy as I thought it was. And you're bad when Layne Norton's like, hey man, if you need some help, I'll help you.
Does he help you? Because he's the best of the best, right?
Dude, yeah. Well, Layne's a good guy. He's a good friend. Even I think it was after Worlds when we were in where were we? The last Worlds in 2015. He's like, hey, anytime you need help, if you're not trying to water cut, I'll help you with the sodium. If you're just trying to get your macros right, just let me know and I'll help you out. And yeah, man, I'm probably gonna need help. Just let you know. So he's like, yeah, anytime. And but the thing is, it's like with anybody. It's like, all right, that's like Michael Jordan asking, hey, do you want me to help you with your layup? You kind of want to at least you kind of at least want to know what you're doing before you go out. Because dude, I was so dumb about it. I didn't even know what question to ask.
Yeah, it's true. Where do I start?
Some dude asked me, goes, hey man, so you track your macros and everything. At the time, I was like, yeah, I track them. It's like, so do you take it even further? Like, start looking at your micronutrients? I'm not lying to you. I was like, give me a sec. I went to the bathroom. went to the stall, closed it, started Googling what were micronutrients. Because I hate feeling dumb, you know? So it's one of those things where I'm at that point right now. I'm kind of getting an idea of what I need to ask, you know? But I mean, the day's going to come when I'm like, hey, Layne, I need that favor because I need to figure out how to do this right. You know, but he's just, you know, like I said, I got really lucky, guys. I won't lie to you. I mean, as far as when I started, the people that I was blessed to have surrounded myself with, they've all, I mean, it's like with anybody in the powerlifting community, they all just reached out and kind of took me in and wanted to help me get better. You know, I mean, I think that's huge in the sport. That's why you see the people, you know, I can't say new people, but that's why you see Kelly so successful. That's why you see Ray being so successful, Liz so successful, Marisa so successful, Sue successful, Jen successful. I mean, it can go down the line. You see these people being so successful because, one, they are so humble. Two, they're willing to listen to anyone that's willing to help. And three, more than anything, you know, they absorb what's given to them and they apply it. And so I just use them as examples of, you know, if Kim and Ray and all these guys who are multi-time world champions at the highest level in our sport, if they're willing to take correction, if they're willing to, you know, to take additions and make subtractions to become a better athlete, then I mean, I'm no different. I'm no different. You know, I mean, I'm nothing special, you know, but in order for me to be special, you know, I got to do what the special people do. And so that's, I got really lucky in kind of seeing that pattern, and I just always shut up and kind of listen to what I'm told. You know, one of these days I'll figure the macro thing out, and one of the days I'll look as lean as Layne does in my singlet. right now I just look like a fucking chocolate puff.
So you've accomplished, in a short period of time, you accomplished a lot. Looking back at the 5 years, what would you say is the pinnacle thus far? I mean, you got a lot left in you. What's the number one accomplishment? What was that moment? Number one accomplishment, A, and B, that moment for you that you look back and be like, that was a moment right there. It might not even be the biggest lift, but you had a moment right there that you're always going to take.
Well, I'll have to say, it's two, because it involves the same man. The moment, I'm trying not to cry about this because it's huge to me, but the moment that David Ricks shook my hand and, you know, and told me he knew about me. And then I got to battle with him head to head in 2013 in Orlando. That was for me and I lost, you know, but I got a chance to pull for the win. Mm-hmm. And for anybody that doesn't know who David Ricks is, you should go drown yourself immediately. But that moment, like we sat and we talked. I knew about him, and I'd seen his videos and everything, and YouTubed him and Googled him and everything. You know, I mean, and for me, I believe every sport has their person. They have their Michael Jordan, they have their Dr. J's, they have their Tiger Woods, whatever. And for me, David Ricks is my Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. He's my absolute, just, you know, he is what it means. He embodies everything that it means to be a great lifter, a great person, a great man. And to actually be able to sit down with him before weigh-ins and just talk and just listen to him and let him drop gems and give me corrections and additions before we were about to compete against each other. Mm-hmm. And all of which I applied when I had an opportunity to do so. And for us to go head to head and, you know, me be able to pull for the win, you know, drop 700 pounds. I mean, that seemed to be my pattern. But to have that opportunity, and the one thing that I remember, man, more than anything is I heard a few people yelling here and there. But the one voice I heard yelling more for me than anybody was David Ricks. Now I kept saying, "Come on, young fella. Come on, young fella."
That's got to be like chills, man.
Let me tell you, that was my first time ever touching 700 pounds as a lifter ever. I never even attempted it in training or anything. I never touched it. But for me to win, I would have to pull 700 pounds. And it came up so fast, my grip obviously wasn't ready for it. And it slipped out of my hands, man, but I felt like I won. And not gonna lie to you, man, I never thought I would ever have the opportunity again. And then this last Nationals, man, with Jesse, myself, and David, we got a chance to battle. I had yet again another opportunity to pull for the win. All I can think about, man, it's come full circle from Orlando, man, and you know I'm stronger, a little bit wiser, but I still feel like I still feel like son to dad. You know, when I lift against David Ricks, not necessarily because of strength or anything, just because of just the respect that you should have for a man that paved the way for you. I mean, and as long as I live, David Ricks is always going to be, that notch above. And I'm always going to say yes, sir. I'm always going to say no, sir. I'm always going to come, to his aid whenever he needs me, because I feel like that's what you should do. In terms of our Hall of Fame lifters. And powerlifting is really weird, man. I mean, aside from to be completely honest with you, aside from Ed Cohn, a lot of our older legends, man, they don't get the respect they deserve.
They weren't really like nowadays. Now people are like 100,000 followers, etc. David Ricks probably isn't even on Instagram.
He's not even on the gram. Every now and again he'll tag me and put you on Facebook, and I'm still surprised. What? David knows how to use that?
What are you doing on here?
Yeah, David wears Nike Air Pegasus, man.
Yeah, that's the
that is the embodiment of a 57-year-old man. And the fact that this man he can pull near 700 pounds.
So when you go for your 700 and you heard him hollering like, "Come on, young man, let's go, young man," why do you think he was cheering for you like that, knowing that you were pulling for the win against him? Like, what do you if you could step inside him, like, what does it make a guy like? It's hard to conceive, right? A lot of people in this generation wouldn't be like that.
He told me I was the future, man. And sorry.
No, go ahead.
He told me I was the future, and when past and past, present, and future have an opportunity to say, man, like it's a beautiful thing, man. But it's not necessarily him cheering for me, but just like the future of the sport and the places that they can go. Those are the things that run through my head, when I'm lifting, when I talk to the guy, when I see the guy, when I see young lifters coming up, man, we can go so far. But I mean, it can't be a bucket of crabs, man. Like people trying to pull each other down in order to get to the top, man. Like to me, powerlifting, it's beautiful, man, but it's a relay. Mm-hmm. And once you get to your point, to your end, wherever that end may be, you have to pass the torch. And while he still has a lot of gas left in him, man, it's part of him. And it's going to come that I hope, that I could be at that level and I could pass the torch to someone else. And there's a lot of great lifters coming up that I would love to have an opportunity to pass the torch. I feel like I have a lot of gas left in me, but just at that particular moment, that's what I felt. I didn't necessarily feel like, I'm going to beat this dude. I'm like, man, this legend is trying to pass me the torch most classy way possible through competition. Numbers are numbers, man. And the crazy thing is, like, when we're all dead and gone, those numbers are going to disappear with us. But the one thing that doesn't, that's not gonna fade is how you treated each other. How that person made you feel. It's crazy. Ed Cohn has made more of an impact now than he ever did as an active lifter. This guy's off the charts. So one powerlifter, through that one just an act of kindness, and it taught me in that moment, like, this is how you are as a competitor. And it was crazy because I had the same opportunity to do the same thing with Layne the next year. And from that point, you can't down your competitor. That's stupid. If your competitor is going to beat you, it's because he's better than you. It's not because he drops. It's not because he doesn't get his lift. If your competitor beats you, it's because you went head to head and the best man won that particular day. I want my competitor to be at his best. If you're going to beat me, you're going to beat me because you beat me, not because I messed up, or not because you messed up and I just happened to get it when you didn't. I want to go 9 for 9, and that best man won for that day. And like I said, for me, that's what it's about, man. So I'm never gonna wish a competitor that I ever go against ill will. I'm always gonna wish that everyone goes 9 for 9. I'm always gonna be happy when they get their pull, because you got yours, cool. It's my turn to go do mine. And if I don't, well, guess what? I guess I just didn't get the job done.
On that note, is there a time when it was your time to go and get the job done? Like your biggest, kind of the hardest lesson for you to learn out there, in terms of your biggest regret, the biggest loss that was hard to shake? If that was a pinnacle, what was the one that was tough? The toughest moment?
This Arnold that I just got back from, that was the hardest one, man. So far, this has been the hardest one that I've had. Just because everything's there, everything's lined up the way it needs to be, and I just didn't get the job done. And it's crazy because, I mean, I won.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like a dub for me right now. You know? And while I enjoy it, and I know it's a blessing, man, and I know there's people that came in and walk, and then I'm appreciative, and I feel very blessed, you know, to be in the position that I'm in. It doesn't feel like a win. It feels like, you know, I busted my ass. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I was in that gym and I was grinding and I was, you know, sacrificing, doing everything that you need to do to be a champion. But when it counted, the 9 for 9 that I sought, I did get it done. So right now, that's the biggest disappointment. You know what I mean? Because to have my family and have my friends came to watch it. You know what I mean? That's how I never invite people to come watch me, but that's how confident I was in my ability to get the job done. And I did get the job done the way that I needed to get it done. Well, again, I'll repeat, I'm very grateful for the win and the competition and just, you know, the awesome atmosphere and being able to just be on the same platform with Ray and Kelly and all these guys. It just didn't feel the way it should have felt. Had I executed the way I needed to, you know what I mean, I could, you know, walk a little taller, you know, stand a little straighter. But, you know, I got a lot of work to do between now and Belarus for sure. So
looking ahead at Belarus, what are you thinking? What are you anticipating in Belarus? So we have in the 93s, Rebecca's moving up to 105, correct?
Yep.
And is Buyani continuing to be in? Is he going to be there again? Do we know who's?
I don't even know if the prelim nominations have been put out yet. I'm assuming that he is. Let's just assume that he is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's do that.
And so I mean, just going in, I assume that he and David Ricks, they're gonna go head to head because, you know, because he's no spring chicken either. So,
no, he's a master. He's a master.
Yeah, so it's gonna be the Masters man battling out, and I'm hoping to just do crumbs here and there. You know what I mean? Hopefully they'll just tucker each other out and somehow sneak through the back door. That's what I hope.
That's right. It can happen.
I'm not planning on just showing up. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Nor is any competitor going. I mean, it's going to be a dogfight, man. And this particular team, man. It's special to me, man, because I'm not going against David Ricks. I'm competing with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're going to be side by side, and that, bro, I can't even explain to you like what that feels like to know that, you know, I'm going to be representing my country with my idol.
You know, warm up together, the whole nine, man. You got each other's backs, right?
Yeah, man. So that's gonna be huge. For me, it's gonna be huge. That's gonna be, man. I can't even explain it to you. If I could, I mean, I'll try to put it in words. I'll start crying again. But yeah, it's for me. It's super huge. Like this sport means everything to me. You know, and so to be able to be on a platform with my absolute hero it's huge, absolutely huge. So,
and the bench only that's coming up as well already, or?
Yeah, in April, man, coming up next month. Yeah.
So what are you expecting there? Because I think last time, did you not take silver only on body weight though, right?
Just on body weight.
Yeah. It was body. So
it was.
That's a tough one, right? Whenever it's a draw and then it goes down the body where you're like, damn, could I have cut just a stitch more? How much
body? When you about to cut, man, I should have just went for it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the strength was there. The strength was there, man. You know, but I you know what, man? I'll be completely honest with you. We had talked about it beforehand. The way it felt going in, I already felt like, you know, Dennis and I were gonna go 1 and 2. I could feel it. The way it was just moving. Warm-ups, man, we were just on point. And, you know, you just know, like, yo, I don't know that we're going to be stopped. You know what I mean? Like, you just know. And it didn't matter who was Robin, who was Batman, or who was Superman, or whoever. It didn't matter who won. I just know we need to go 1 and 2 because this is for Team Gold. And this is the first ever. You know what I mean? And there can't be, no one should win this, man. If this doesn't come home with red, white, and blue on it, then we didn't do our job.
Yeah.
So That's all. It was about team. I didn't care who won it. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, it's awesome to have those individual goals. With like my name with my team is etched in history. The first ever bench only champions. Like, so people can say whatever they want to say, but you weren't there. You know what I mean? Like you weren't a part of that gold medal team. So for me, it was big picture. You know, so it didn't really matter. And it, you know, as weird as it sounds, I mean, you know, I never know what the weight is. I honestly, I don't care what it is. I mean, I trust my coaches. They're my head coaches for a reason. And so they call the numbers, I lift. I let them know what I would like to hit, and that's it. Don't ask anything else other than that. So when it came down to get it done, Dennis went hit his. It was my turn, and I didn't know if I had gotten chipped. I didn't know if I was going for the win. I just knew that, hey, I have to hit this weight, and you know I'm going to do my job, and I went and did it. I didn't find out until afterwards. They're like, oh, that was for silver. All right, cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? There's people that are watching on live stream while I was living it for real. So I'm like, hey, I'm pretty happy. You know what I mean? I'll take it. You know, I'll get gold one day. You know, and
maybe April.
Maybe.
Yeah, right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Shit is I'm
like, now, man, I'm nominated like 5th going in. So I don't know.
That's why these things got to play out. You never know, right?
I'm Gucci. I mean, the strength's there. I mean, I feel like I'll move some really good weight. So I mean, I'm just ready to do it. To be honest with you, today's bench session was super promising, and so to have that feeling, man. I mean, right, a couple days after actually competing, like I didn't feel anything. I felt good. You know, I felt better than I felt actually benching at the meet. So. I'm excited about it, man. I think it's gonna be great. And I mean, it's just set the tone even higher, hitting that 514 a couple days ago. So I'm like, man, let's do it. I mean, dude, they call him Heavy D for a reason, man. He moves weight.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think he liked being nominated tied with anyone. Dennis doesn't share anything, including nominations. So like. You know what I mean? Like, you say his name, if you don't have respect on it, he's going to make you respect him, you know what I mean? And so it's not one of those things, you know, he jokes around all the time. He goes, hey, man, I want to retire, but I'm not just going to give it to you. You got to come take it.
That's right.
Like, God dang it. Great. Thanks, Dennis. You know what I mean? It's like I can't escape these guys. I mean, like, he and David Ricks, they're taking shots from the Fountain of Youth, and I want to know where they're hiding these shots because I want some.
How old is Dennis now?
Dennis is like 47, 48.
Whoa, he's pushing M2 close.
Yeah, and he's pushing 1,000 freaking pounds every time. I'm like,
Yeah.
Hold on one sec.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, thank you so much. The sweetest lady on earth, man. She's. Well, I had to get closer to the window, and she's watching my stuff for me.
No kidding, you got security.
Listen, that's how important you guys are to me.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so she's watching my stuff. I had to go to the bathroom. This stuff is safe. Thank you. Hopefully it'll stay there. Hopefully they don't think I'm like, trying to, hijack the airport or something. All my stuff is just littered off in the corner.
So there's
maybe they'll recognize. They'll recognize the SBD belt.
There's one thing that kind of interests me. You said at Arnold's you had a lot more people there watching you this time. Do you feel it played any kind of effect on you having that kind of pressure there?
No, I don't know if there was any pressure. I think it just added to the disappointment when I didn't perform. You know what I mean? And, I have a super good support system, man, but it was really, I was disappointed for them, not necessarily myself. I mean, because they were, I don't know what they were expecting. I don't think they were expecting anything. But you know how it is, man. When you expect more of yourself than what you actually output, it's always... it's always kind of, salty. There's a salty taste in your mouth, man. And, you want to do better. So, I think, there's always a lesson learned in everything. I think it just added to the hunger that I have to do better. The one thing that I tend to rely on is my bench, and it didn't show up. But the cool thing that I was able to do was actually see how my squat and deadlift have progressed to the point that I didn't necessarily need my bench this time. You know what I mean? So,
there's a takeaway.
Yeah. So it was, that was cool.
What does your programming look like? Because we can't have an interview without a little bit of touch up on the training side. I know some people want some tips a little bit, right?
These guys.
So
I'll give you a little bit. I'll give you a little taste.
Yeah, what's a taste? A peek behind the curtain. A couple quick ones would be, Do you use partials, RPE, or percentages? How often do you use singles?
Man, I use it all. I mean, I lose a lot of RP and a lot of percentages, man. This particular, I'll give you a couple weeks. Usually, what I'll do is, I'll give you like a 2-week, but use a 2-week block. I usually work, around anywhere from 70 to 80%, for mid to high volume, and this is across the board.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just because I took a month after nationals. I ran bench nationals, raw nats. I had an NAPF bench. I had them all back to back to back within like a 30-day period. So I took a break. I took a month and a half off. So I had to get my body in shape as quickly as possible. That being said, so I was running, 75 to 80%, 85 at some times. I mean, high volume, and some, so that would be like a Monday. Let's say that would be a day 1 and a day 3. On day two would pretty much be me working low volume, but around an RPE of, I want to say 8.5 to 9. Hold on one second. Yeah, I'm gonna go back over there. Okay, awesome. They're about to board my plane. Great.
Oh, okay, man.
No, but my friend's on the other side. I think we're gonna walk and talk. So I walk with me, talk with me.
That's it. Let's do it.
So I I would try to keep that the RP around 8.5, and just really just push myself just to one, to get in shape, and two, just to man, I was just being a baby at first. I was just being a baby about the whole training process and having to get myself back in shape and blah blah blah. What was me? And so what I ended up doing is, by the time like I was doing these 2-week blocks of just doing that over and over and over, I would end up having to I would go 2 weeks, rest a week, and dropping it down to like RPs were like 5, 5 and 6, just making sure because I was focusing on technique. Because technique for me it's been the biggest thing, and so I didn't necessarily focus on particular numbers, but rather the feeling, how it felt, of course. And I just didn't necessarily worry about how many reps. Just I would go until I felt my technique break down. Mm-hmm. It sounds kind of crazy, but my technique right now, that's my biggest concern. I don't care about numbers. So the more I focused on my technique, it seemed like the more my numbers started going up. So I was like, there might be a little something to this. So what I ended up doing is just not necessarily focusing on numbers on those off weeks, but just focusing on technique. When technique started breaking down, I would stop. Then I would go back to my little 2-week, knock that 2-week out, and then I would go back again on my off week and just focus on technique. And what I started noticing is, as I focused on my technique, my technical breakdown wouldn't necessarily start at 5 and 6 like it had been the previous week or two. It would actually end up being around 7 or 8, and if 7 and 8 started turning like 9 and 10, and 9 and 10 started turning. Yeah. So that's how I could kind of tell, like, your body's getting in shape, son. Here we go. Yeah. And then once I did that for about 8 weeks, and then after that 8-week period, then we started. I started what I call redlining. I started working up to my 92 to 96%. And I would hit it, and if it felt good, I was like, cool. You know what? That RP. I felt like it should have been RP of at least 8.5 to 9. Didn't feel that way. Cool. Well, next week we're gonna add a little bit more, and so we just started creeping up a little bit more. It's really experimental. Not gonna lie to you. Yeah. But by the time we got to about 4 weeks out, 3 to 4 weeks out, those numbers what I was expecting to be around 630, 640. Those numbers I didn't start to really feel weight until like 650, 300 kilo. Yeah. Like so you have to imagine going into the Arnold, I expected to be doing a lot more than what I did. I mean, I'm not gonna get into specifics of the weight, but you always move a little bit of weight, and for a bencher to actually be squat, it's huge, and for a bencher to be actually pulling something over 700 without dropping it. That's great. But going into the Arnold, I expected, based off my performance, to be doing a lot better than what I did. So when it didn't turn out the way I had imagined and dreamed it was going to turn out, I was a little disappointed. But at the same time, I was happy because even though we didn't hit the moon, we still landed in the stars somewhere. So
that's right. That's a good expression. That's well said.
Yeah, man.
So it was before we let you board your plane, we always ask everybody one question: is how do you want to be remembered in this sport?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, wow. You hit me with that.
That's a tough one right before we leave.
Guys, if I could strangle you, honestly, I just want to be remembered as a guy that loved the people in the sport as much as it impacted him. Straight up. Like, the sports changed my life, and I hope to be remembered as a guy that showed as much love to the people and to the sport as the sport's given him. Like, the sport's given me everything, man. So I'll be remembered as a guy that gave everything back. I love the people. I love, obviously, the community is insane in the love and support that we tend to have for one another, man. Sometimes I think that gets lost amongst all the numbers and everything. And, you have people like yourselves highlight some of the most amazing parts of it, but there's still this respect and this love for the athletes themselves that, that sometimes it gets left out, you know what I mean? And what you guys are doing it's an absolute amazing thing because, people only see the numbers, they don't know they don't know what's behind the mask. They don't know what's behind this blood, sweat, and tears, man. And so, people like us embody what it is, about the love of the sport, the support that's in this sport. Like so many times people just think it's about the competitors, but it's not just about the competitors. It's about those people that support the competitors. It's about those people that love this sport and support the sport. So yeah, man, like I want to be remembered just like I believe I'll remember you guys.
Thank you.
You guys love this sport. I love this sport, and you give back. I want to be remembered as a guy that gave back more to the sport than he took from it, for sure.
Well said, man.
Yeah, man.
Well said. Well, listen, man. We appreciate it. We know we caught you in transit and the whole nine, and you wanted to do the interview. We super appreciate it. Love to have you back, man.
Anytime. I'm no joking. Anytime. Maybe I won't shed a tear.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll talk after the bench only worlds maybe or something.
You guys gonna start Jim Roman me is what you're gonna start doing.
That's right. We come with those questions.
I'm telling you, man.
Sounds good.
I should have been better prepared.
That's right. I know you did amazing. Listen, man. Safe travels. Thanks a lot.
Thank you guys so much, man.
And good luck in your next competition.
Thank you very much, man. I hope we run to you guys somewhere down the road for sure.
You will, buddy. Talk to you later.
All right. God bless. Have a good one.
Whoa, that was some powerful shit, man.
Yeah, we'll have to go through and figure out some stuff on that. There's a lot I want to keep out of that. It's a shame we lost.
Dude,
so
I
much
want
on
to do. Okay.
But the airport, you know what I mean? Like that's what we got. But that each person we do, we learn so much, and humility. That guy is.
It's crazy. He's okay. So a couple takeaways I take. We talked about we're talking with Molly about how some people it takes like years to get to the top. Some people are like, look, man, 10 years deep, this happened for me. But very first year he started competing, U.S. Nationals is probably the most difficult nationals to win in the world. Yeah. And he wins U.S. Nationals. First year, then he goes to the Worlds and comes in fourth in the world. Yeah. Very first year competing. Like, that's insane, man.
Well, he's been riding around the top four for 5 years.
Forever.
You know what I mean? And he finally made it to the third place. That's just one more stepping stone. But that's a heavy division too. You got Jesse, you got Riggs, you got like that's a big division to sit in.
Very much. And Layne when he was on. Like he won. Layne won nationals, Arnold's and silver medal at the world. So like he's had some heavy competition. Frick, man. When he's talking about like David Ricks. Here's something that a lot of people don't realize. It's just what you mean to other people when you put yourself out there. Like, does David Ricks even know he impacted him this way? Or how many people has David Ricks impacted like that? When we talked with Kimberly Walford, she's talking about like the people that she looked up to and idolized and like draw strength from, It makes you think like a lot of people who are on Instagram and
they'll never see him. Like, they'll only see him as pictures with other lifters, you know what I mean? Because he doesn't have
Well, not only just that, I was going to say, like, some people shoot off, like, just, like, use social media as a way to voice negative shit. A guy like David Ricks, and what I was going to say is, like, you don't know who's watching. You don't know who looks up to you. So when you do that kind of shit, you don't know when you spray who you're hitting. Whereas David Ricks is a guy who carries himself, whether he's in front of the camera or backstage, a certain way, and he has no idea, a guy like LS, what that meant to him. He had no idea when he shook his hand, I heard about you, whatever. He's no idea. So you conduct yourself in a way that, like, look, people aren't watching. People are drawing from you.
But it's the person, not the generation, not the age, not anything.
No, that's true.
Because we've seen from competitions, we've seen some of some of the older generation who aren't the nicest to be around.
They're crusty masters too.
You know what I mean? And then you get the guys that are actually trying to make like him. You know what I mean? He's an inspiration to a lot because of his age and what he's doing. But once you learn and hear from other people his humility, and he's cheering on a guy that's going against him.
Yeah.
Like,
well, here's the thing: when you're like David Ricks, like 57, 58 now, so he's probably at the time like 53. He's probably kind of like LS was saying, where like he's like, look, man, I had mine. I'm over half a century old, been doing this for decades. I'm good. If it ends tomorrow, I'm good. He sees a young man where he almost sees himself in this young man. I bet you he couldn't help be like, come on, young man, pull this, you could do this, man. If you took this from me right now, I'm good. Everyone knows who I am, or they should.
Yeah, I got the squat record in 3 different categories. Open,
like,
Masters 1, Masters 2.
It is inspirational. For us, David Ricks would be like a Michael Jordan or like a George Foreman almost, where, dude, this isn't aging. You know what I mean? Like the guy was, it was like the last worlds. He took, in the Masters, he took the open world record. Now here's something that's interesting. Now he said, David Ricks and him would be competing side by side, but is David Ricks possibly going to go in the Open? It sounded like that for a second. I know at the U.S. Nationals he was in the Open. Yeah. Is he going to go in as a master? Last year he went as a master. If he goes in the Open, I mean that'll be a hell of a show.
Yeah.
People are going to talk about that. Last year he went as a master and broke open world records, as you can.
Yeah.
But it kind of sounded like he was, and obviously nominations aren't put in yet, so no one's for sure. But I know this year, obviously, David Ricks threw himself in the Open for the Nationals to go head-to-head with Jesse Norris. Like, David Ricks is fearless, man. He'll go head-to-head with anybody.
Yeah.
And he go toe-to-toe Jesse Norris, and it was right down to the last dead.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting character. He's another one. I mean, I'd love to get on here sometime because his story would be interesting.
Yes! How are you going to reach him?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're gonna have to get a hold of somebody that knows him, because that's what we
could have asked.
That's an interesting story. I mean, I bet you it's a long one, but it's an interesting story.
It's a hell of a long one. Yeah, that's something like a 2-3 parter.
Yeah,
for sure. Because his experience, again, David Ricks is from way back when it was only equipped. It's a different. Like we're talking like to the transformation into like think about the people he's seen come and go. His mentors. Who was his mentors if he was from the 90s, man? 80s, 70s? Like, he's been around. This man's 57 years old.
But it was interesting we talked about a few things, because the Masters, we see the Masters, especially women's, dominating. Like, they're literally dominating in these weight divisions. But one of the things I've noticed, too, is a lot of the coaches have said that women are the better ones to train because the ego lift is gone. You give them a set of numbers, they hit the numbers, they walk out of the gym, and they do it again the next week. They're not... If it's a set number, listen, I'm going to try this because I feel good, or this. They just keep hitting those numbers, right? And you have to kind of wonder with the Masters and stuff, you know what I mean? The ego lifting's gone through. They're done doing their shit, They're just coming in and doing what they
You can do it for fun now. The pressure's off.
Right.
David Ricks shows up at this Worlds. If he doesn't get a medal, is all of a sudden his legacies, nothing changed.
But the pressure on the youth is like, sometimes you see that I need to train every day. I need to stuff. I guarantee you.
You're afraid to take a day off.
A man of 57 years old, he probably takes a day or two off. Like,
he's not afraid to take a day off.
Yeah, I'm sure there's been some beat up days in his life.
There's a reason why they call him Superman.
Yeah.
It's good that, LS, he seems like a pretty heartfelt guy, obviously, a nice guy. And you can see, like, with an idol like David Ricks. There's some people who choose... Who you say you look up to says a lot about you. I think that's one thing. I mean, when we say, who do you look up to when we ask them, it does say a lot about you. With who you pick. Do you root for the bad guy? You the guy who watches the movies and roots for the bad guy? Or you that guy, when you picture yourself, how do you picture yourself, right?
Yeah.
He's looking up to David Ricks and look how he carries himself, right? The guy talks like other people. When we're talking about Jose P, like, oh, how could I even train with that guy? That guy's out of my league. Man, this dude's bench pressing over 500 pounds. Josepina ain't bench pressing nowhere near that. Like, he can hang with anybody. LS can hang with anybody, but
he
you
gives
see
you
the humility.
respect.
Yeah, he's a kid.
Yeah.
Josepina watches this. What's he gonna say when
Yeah.
LS McClain is like, oh, I couldn't even. Oh, you like joking around, but still. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type he's carrying himself like a David
Oh,
Riggs.
100%. I mean, he gave him that, you know, he'll do his warm-ups with my maxes. Like, you know,
which it wasn't true, but yeah.
It's just a little bit of respect on that kid's part. But, you know, the one thing I like with him is he really is following everyone. Like, he's watching what everyone's doing, and he's like us. It's the love of the sport. You know what I mean? He's just in love with everything about it. He loves seeing this person, that person, just seeing people grow and evolve through it. Like, because the fact he knew everybody we rhymed off, you know? That's interesting.
Yeah, he was good. I'm glad, you know, it's, even on his worst day, he can win the Arnolds. So obviously he's up there. It'll be interesting to see how he does in the bench. It's weird that he said his nomination was 5th when last year he was tied for 1st and lost on body weight, the gold medal. And all of a sudden, bang, down to 5th. And I don't know if that's an indication of the sport, bam, growing, or when something's inaugural, like the first, some people wait, see how it goes, and then they start throwing their hat in the ring. Sometimes location, man, if it's in Europe, and there's a lot of bench-only guys in Europe, and all of a sudden they show up, whatever, right? I don't even know where it is this year, but it's interesting that all of a sudden his nomination's 5th when he was, like, toe-to-toe for the gold. But we'll see. That's why you got to do, like, odds don't mean shit until
Depends
you
on
hit
who's
the
going in there, right? You never know.
day of. Anything can happen as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's focused obviously on 3 lift as well, so his nomination might not.
And you never know. I mean, there's so many feds out there right now too. I mean, anybody could transition from one fed to the next. That you're
Look at
not.
John Hack, man. John Hack came over, decided I'm gonna whoop some ass, and he whooped some ass.
Yeah,
and he came right from nationals right to champ.
Yeah,
and
when
then
you're not expecting it, all of a sudden. I mean, there's people. A lot of times you're following those, and you're seeing other people, but you just don't expect that transition.
Yeah.
When it happens.
Another thing he said too, and that's true. Another thing he said too on top of that was there's a lot of guys who are phenomenal athletes, and they're choosing other sports that are far more popular, like football. And in down south, he's talking about like it's he's from Texas. It's like a religion down there, man. Josepina started powerlifting for football. How many guys, if they don't get picked up by a college, and they're phenomenally strong, crazy uber, like this guy was running track, didn't start powerlifting in his 30s, automatically was a national champion. How many dudes, as soon as they stop doing whatever sport they're in because it didn't go their way, can easily transition to powerlifting? Out of nowhere, man. This happens.
Well, especially in the U.S., there's so many divisions of football. Like, once it goes through, but that university, like you said, some of these university dropouts or whatever else, what happens to them after that?
They pick it up.
It's an opportunity.
That's
another opportunity for them.
That's one thing with powerlifting. We'll take anybody because you don't drop out of powerlifting to work out. I think I'm gonna go to NFL. That doesn't work backwards.
Yeah.
It's NFL didn't work out, but I'm crazy strong, crush me in weights. I might try powerlifting. Any sport, man, wrestling, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, these guys like Ben Pollock, John Hack, they all wrestled as well. It's like,
well, they don't have to go to university, right? You can do it. You can just go do it and see.
and it's like one of those skills, like you weightlift for other sports. You don't do another sport for powerlifting.
Yeah.
You don't play football to get better at powerlifting, but you'll powerlift to get better at football. So that's where these dudes can come out of nowhere because they're using our sport as a base already.
Well, as the sport grows, I mean, that's the biggest part. The sport is just evolving so fast and growing so fast that anybody has an opportunity to become somewhat famous about it. Like, it's not going to be huge famous, but who knows in a few years what's going to take off.
They didn't even think it was an option until like the last couple of years. It's picking up. Like powerlifting. They didn't even think about that.
Well, it's like David Riggs. In his lifetime, did he expect to see it the way it went? I mean, when he was competing, it was probably him and 2 other guys at the meet. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm sure he's gone to plenty of competition. I'm sure early days with David Riggs, he'd tell people as a powerlifter, people like, what the shit is that?
Yeah.
If we get sometimes, oh, you're a bodybuilder?
Yeah.
Imagine what he got. Because now, like, far more people know about powerlifting.
And he's going to show up to a lot of these meets and he might be the only guy. You know what I mean? Like, and then now to see that level of competition and stuff, but the fact that he's hanging in there with these guys is crazy because, I mean, was he there in the day of counting macros and the day of like the transitioning training?
RPE.
Like all this, this stuff here. I mean, like this guy, it'd be interesting to see what he does or
and his take on all that.
If he even gets coached.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if there's
Matt, how do you coach David Riggs?
That's what I'm saying.
How do you handle David Riggs at a meet? Tell him when he's lifting.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
He'd be like, that's cute, my young man, load my plates.
Yeah.
Tie my shoes and shit, but that's it. That's it. Anyways, man, all right, it's a good one. Wow.